Okie dokie. Okay, actually, no, I'd rather wait, Misha. I'd rather wait.
Okay, no, keep going. Like, honestly.
Oh.
It might take, like, I'm gonna play around with it. It might take.
Because the reason why I'd rather, well, first of all, your access to GitLab will constrain you to contributing on.
That's why I'm setting it up now.
Okay.
But you can keep going. I don't need to be on GitLab.
Okay.
Listen to what you're doing.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Because I might move a little fast, but just so everyone's aware, like this is the mass version 2, right? And this is the. Can you guys see like the what I'm pointing at with my mouse?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like this, like you can see, I'm pointing at my desktop, because I don't see what you see, so just double
Yeah.
checking. Because I don't want to say shit like before on the microphone and find out, oh, you don't know what I'm talking about. But okay, so you guys see the desktop, and then you see the Mass V2 version right here. Okay, and you see my mouse and everything.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Alright, so I created the project. I started the emulator. And then again, I almost want you guys to follow along. Like, Tyson, do you have Android Studio?
Yeah, I do.
I think what might be valuable is if you guys follow along.
You're recording this too, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
what do you...
I mean, might be better if you like just continue and then like we can always come back to this and look
Okay.
at it.
Sounds good, sounds good. Okay, so I would run the emulator. And then just pay attention to what's happening here. It's not going to pop your emulator, like... So I'm on this screen, but my emulator doesn't, like, pop up to let me know that the program actually, like, ran. So I have to go back here to see it. Just so I can show you, like, I'm going to change the text on this. So there's a res for resources folder, like here. So let me just minimize everything. And let me know if, like... Can you guys hear the Assassin's Creed in the back? Is that distracting or no? It's distracting me a little bit, but I was just wondering if it's distracting you.
I'll turn it lower.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was gonna, huh?
We're good.
Okay. So there's a res folder for resources, and this is kind of like where images would go. And then there's like this layouts folder that has your XMLs, and your XMLs show the view. Basically, there's like XMLs for how it looks, and then the Java is like the functionality. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so XML, I'm gonna go to text, right? And so there's like a design you can drag and drop, but I don't really use that. I go to text, the tab here, and then what's the difference? So
why do you use the design tab?
because it's not as, so defining it in text, defining it in your code is like you can get exactly what you want. If you drag and drop, you don't know exactly like what it's gonna do.
Well, I mean, you can actually edit all of it in the
You
design,
can edit
but, like,
later, yeah, but I guess that's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
I don't think it's reliable to do it like this. I actually,
A lot of people will do the drag and drop, and then you go into the text, and then you make sure you got what you want, and you can like
yeah,
edit stuff in the text then.
in
Yeah.
the drag and drop. It'll connect elements that you might not want connected, for example, just because it's trying to figure out what you're doing.
yeah,
You can have that control. So it's
I-
faster to drag in stuff, especially like when you're just starting out and you don't want to learn all like the XML tags. But once you have all the XML tags in there, actually laying them out and making sure that like something's, for example, perfectly centered as opposed to just kind of looking centered. Then go in and do that in the text and make sure that it's exactly what you want and not just kind of a.
okay, yeah. You guys can figure out like how you guys want to do it. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do it.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to show you like that when I do make changes and I click play, right, I click the run button on the top, I select the deployment environment, deployment target, and this actually, like, as I mentioned earlier, actually I don't know if you heard this earlier because it wasn't, I don't know if the microphone, did you guys hear about the Android device manager that I was talking about here?
Yeah, you were about to add one, and I think that's like when you stopped.
That's when my audio stopped?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I want to add one just to show you guys. Because when you start a new project, it's because these exist because I set it up, but when you start new projects, these don't automatically exist. And since we're designing for Pixel 2, I'm just gonna add a Pixel 2. I just didn't know that we didn't have the XL, and I'll just add the Pixel 2.
Okay.
So yeah, this might actually take a little bit.
Is downloading it?
Yeah, it's downloading it. So if you guys are following along, like, because I can't do anything now, actually, this I can't go back to my code while this is installing. Maybe I'll just cancel it, and then you guys can do that later. Yeah, just to make sure that I don't waste your guys' time, waste my time. Okay, yeah, so that's the device manager. I changed text here. Okay, so let's try to create a couple pages. So I'll start with vid loop selector activity. So okay, so in our emulator, I'm just gonna open up the app. I believe it's called
Mast V2.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'll just run it again because I think I installed multiple APKs with like very similar names, so I don't know which one to click on because there's like different versions now. But I just ran it again, so it's gonna take a second down here, and then it's gonna pop it in the emulator. So based on this, we're gonna start creating like step by step. Actually, like before even coding, I think just understanding on paper what to code first. Like basically my workflow is know what the screen looks like, know what kind of interactions you might want, and then the coding is actually much more simple. So it's even before I start typing anything, there's a lot of like writing and drawing out. So the stuff we did for Envision actually probably like in reflection helped with, you know, streamlining the code and getting it all done really quickly. But moving forward, yeah, just UI design into, since we're kind of UI designers also developers. Yeah. Okay, so we'll create this screen. Okay, so we have nothing here right now. First thing I would probably do is rename this, right? Because we for later on, we want to know like what all these activities are doing. So I'll just do like vid selector activity, and then I'll just leave these right now. And this is just refactoring is like it's gonna go in, and it's gonna like change the names and everything that's referenced from it.
So what does refactor mean?
Basically, like, you know, when you change a file, you might just change one file, but because this code base has a lot of references within itself, if you change just that name, then you might break something. But if you like refactor it, it just like cascades into all these other folders.
Okay.
And I'm gonna refactor this one too. I thought I would change. Actually, what I would do actually is not do it this way. Actually, I'm like changing how I do it as I tell you, because you know I haven't really like made this into lecture material. It's not. It's kind of like, you know. Okay. I'm gonna go right click on this. So one thing I would maybe tell you guys right now is like there's a test, an Android test. I don't really pay attention to that right now because I don't know much about it, but I think those are for unit testing. The main thing for us is just paying attention to this folder here.
What's unit testing?
Okay, unit testing. So think of a unit as like a small feature. And for example, like you click on sign up, like what exactly will it do? Will it send it to the Firebase? Will it send it to the database? What exactly will that do? A unit test is specifically for that. So one project might have like a lot of unit tests. So when you create a lot of features, you're rolling out for, like, think about Instagram, Facebook. They probably have thousands of unit tests to make sure all these little things work the way that is intended. So I believe these two folders.
It's okay.
Yeah, I believe these two folders are for that, and that's why I was trying to like figure out what the right way of doing Android development, and that's how I came across like Jetpack. And just from reading the blurb, right, it says these components help you follow best practice, simplify task. I believe there's testing involved, but I'm not sure. Anyway, point is we'll focus on this folder.
Okay.
And actually, instead of renaming that, I'm going to actually just create a new activity and then start from there. So blank, I'll do empty activity. It's actually, I don't know what the difference between blank or basic and empty, but I use empty right now. So I'll call this, for this page, vidloop selector. And then generate layout file. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, Java is going to have the functionality, and then XML is like how it looks. So there's going to be like the generate layout file, that's going to be the XML, and the activity, this is going to be in Java. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then down here you can like change it to like Kotlin. Okay, now that we have that, it automatically loads into the Java, but if you look down here, you'll see XML is also created. So I don't really need yeah, once I created the activity, it looks like Gradle ran again, so build's running. And actually, I wouldn't do anything. You should really always pay attention to like if you do certain things, and then your loading bar down here like is loading, don't do anything. Don't try to like change it. You might break stuff. Like I'm really anxious about this stuff breaking because trying to fix it later is just a hassle. Like at 3 a.m. one day, I broke something, and then I just had to recreate the project and then copy the code. So that's why I want you guys to avoid, you know.
That's how you broke it?
Huh?
That's how you broke it the other day?
I broke some. I connected Firebase, I changed Gradle, and then I was like, wait, I changed too much. I don't know what. It'll take too much time figuring out what I did wrong. I'll just start over, you know. But not starting over like completely. I would like copy this like the relevant code into those sections where I can, because you can't copy the whole thing. Because if you notice, like the context you see here, it's specific to the project before. So if I copy everything, and including this, then stuff will break. You have to copy like the code inside here. Does that make sense? Maybe it'll make more sense as I move along. Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to delete the original activities. I don't need that. I'm thinking about if this breaks anything. No, I'll just leave it. At this point, I want to show you the manifests to show you like how do you know which screen it starts from when you run the app, right? So if you look here, there's intent filter. I don't know if this is too small.
No, we can see it. Oh, I can see it.
You see it well? Okay. So this part, the intent filter part, this is what, if you copy it into like, so we have two activities, right? The vid selector activity and then the vid loop selector. I don't even know which one is the right one. The one I just created is vid loop selector, right? It's this one. This is the one I just created. Originally, when you create a new project, it'll automatically add this to your first activity, so that when you load up the app, this activity will load.
That's the thing we just launched.
Yeah, exactly. So now if I copy it here, right, and there's nothing in our vid loop selector XML, right? So if I run this, what we expect in our emulator is like instead of hello world, it's gonna have nothing in it. And just to confirm that that's what's happening, we'll do that. And this is just my workflow. Like I don't want to break anything. Right. So it's gonna run. So you see it's installing APK.
Installing. Okay.
While that's loading, you guys have any questions so far? Or like what you guys want to know? Like for me, I would be like, oh, how do I change the color of this? How do I change the name of this app? And then what is this constraint layout?
It's like I don't know enough to ask those questions.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think it just finished. I think it just takes time. I'm like trying to speed things through, but I think just teaching this, like going fast is just actually counterproductive. So I'll just go at your guys' pace. So
Sean, how much time do you think it's gonna take us to get up to speed to build what you build?
honestly, right now I'm just thinking about it since like this is what I do, like running it. There's constraints that we can't control, like how long Android is gonna decide to like run and build. Might take longer, but I think it's valuable for you guys, you know, like spending this time. What do you guys think is valuable of your time?
I think it's useful, but
What? I can't hear what you're saying. Tyson.
I just said to me, I enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay, so should we keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Alright, so one thing I don't like is constraint layout. I don't know it. Actually, it's not about liking or not liking. I just don't know it to use it the way that they might have intended this to be used. And so I use linear layout, and this is something that the lecture in
I actually like relative layout
which one?
more than relative than rather than linear. Because
Oh.
like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, but that's like my preference.
Okay.
Everyone has their own.
Okay. Yeah, there's probably like a good use case for relative layout. I just didn't use it for this app, so.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
It's better if you have different sized screens.
Sorry, what?
Relative is for when you have different sized screens. When you're creating an app that's supposed to work on tablets and phones.
Yeah.
Trained is for when you know the size of screen you're working on.
Right.
Mm.
Oops. So I'm sure like we can figure out what the right one is, but just for the sake of this scope of this kind of like class or this kind of workshop, I'm just gonna use what I used before. But there might be like millions of better ways. You might know better ways.
Well, like if you're building a website, if you're doing like HTML, you might like have like a relative size of something, or you'll have like or you like hard code different pixels.
So one thing I'm gonna do is have this kind of hover over our app. So this is what we want, and then this is what we're currently at. And what you'll learn is how to create these buttons, how to have those rounded corners, how to change the color of this, and then how to click this, and then lead up to this video, and then if we have time I can show you this video as well. And then if you didn't notice down here, there was like this what they call toast. I'll show you how to do that too, and that's actually something I use for debugging, because I want to see like a visual thing to know like what happened, like did it happen the way I wanted it. Okay, anyway.
What do you mean? What's the toast?
The toast? Okay, yeah. Toast is a word. It's almost like, imagine you're toasting bread, right? You're putting it in a machine and then it pops up, right?
Okay.
I think that's where it came from. So it's like a little.
That's where it came from. It's an alert.
It's an alert. Yeah. Okay.
But I'd almost start with that, because that's a really easy way to kind of see what's going on.
Oh, use the toast? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, sounds good. I'll show you how to do a toast. So, I kind of hop between these two. So, this activity has two kind of files, right? This one is the layout, this one's the Java. So, if we wanted a toast on this screen when it loads up, then we'll do it in this method called onCreate. And now that I'm thinking about this, like, you guys need to know, when do these methods get called? Like, what happens when you open the app, right? But I think I'll just write the toast just to show you that it works for now. So how I did that, let me close this. I typed in toast, and then I pressed tab, and it just fills it in for me, right? And I don't have to change the context. You don't have to worry about that. And then I can just do like, hey, this happened. And since onCreate is called when this activity is opened, and since in our manifests we put this to open right as the app opens, then this method will be called. Okay. Okay, so I'll run the app again. And so this toast is pretty short. So when the emulator opens up this app, we might actually just miss the toast. So I'll just, as soon as this is finished, I'll switch over to the emulator. Maybe it'll lag over the video conference, but actually I'll just leave it open like this. So the app opened and nothing happened, right? It didn't work as expected. So there we would try to figure out why. So maybe what I'm thinking is like, oh, maybe it doesn't work right away. Maybe toasts don't work when the app opens. But then I would actually give it a shot just to see if I didn't miss it. Give it a shot again. Yeah, it doesn't look like the toast is happening. But okay, I think I'll just do it in the order of like what I know will work. So I'm gonna just recreate the app. Okay. Okay, let's actually do some visual stuff first. So the visual stuff, we'll start with the XML. And I'll just open up the same file over here. So this is the Java one, but we'll go to the resources, the layout. So as you can see, there's some other stuff, but I guess don't worry about that right now. So this is the what it looks like for. Yeah, So text view. So this text view is for this. And I guess I'll just show you how to do that. So when you create something new, you can just do that caret key, and then all these little things you can include just pops up. Don't worry about, there's a lot of options you can look up yourself later, like, oh, what does list view do, or what does toggle button do, or image button. But for now, I'll just do text view. I just type like half the word and press tab, and then it automatically populates the layout and width. So I just did wrap content for this, and then match parent, sure. And that's just to, right now we're just creating this, right? Hey, let me know if like you guys already know some of this stuff. So yeah, you know this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And then some certain things like since I have linear layout, I do orientation vertical, so that when I have another text view, so it just populates to the next thing, right? If it was horizontal, it just goes on the next side, onto the side, right? I guess I could just show you how to like create a button that,
Hey, for the image button, is that, I can't see.
Yeah.
Did you use like drawable? Like, how did you get the image?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I think it might be most helpful if you guys just ask questions, because I don't know if I'm just wasting my time go over things that you already know.
I think text view is like, we can figure out. I mean, like, at least I know how to like put the layout and stuff like that. What about you, Tyson?
I don't know. Tyson's just on the first Stanford video though.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, he kind of covers it in the second video, the whole gravity and the whole layout thing.
Yeah. Then I think it's better if I just listen to what Archie wants to learn, and I think I can figure out the rest of the video.
Sure. Okay, Archie. How about you just ask me questions about like these different
screens? I
want
to know more about like the button part, like the intent part, and like the whether like I see. Okay, you did use drawable, so you put the picture in the drawable, and then you call it over here, right? The source.
So what I did was I downloaded the image online.
Yeah.
And then I copied the image to this folder, and you can just like, I think you can open Reveal in Finder, so that's where you would, and then I literally put the pictures in here, and then the add drawable / like it's just the name of that file.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so for example, like I could change this to like Durant again, right? So this will change.
Yeah. Okay. Other thing is, wait, what is the difference between image, like you said, like image and image button, like two different options?
Yeah, there's two different elements. I think image button just allows you to click on it.
Okay.
But I'm not actually sure. Like, I don't know. You could probably set like an on click on an image. Does that make sense? Does that make sense when I say that? I think for Tyson's sake, I can describe a little bit about what on click is. So say I created a.
I think I know it. Does it like activate a function?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So on click. So basically like you do an on click, and then this is the name of the function. So if I press command or control, I think I'm trying to like jump to the reference. Okay, so I pressed command and then I clicked on it. So this is where I defined it in the vid loop selector. So remember I said like this is the Java code for that view. This is the code for how it looks. So I defined a loop selector, like a method, in here. And then basically I extracted...
Can you speak more about this part?
Yeah, this part?
Like the intent part and the cases.
Okay, sounds good. I'm just reading my code. Okay, so the intents intents are used to go to another activity, and you can also use it to put information from one activity to another. For example, like the genres, you could use it to store information from one intent to the other. Like for example, I think it's intent.put extra, like maybe some piece of information, some useful information. Right, okay. In this one, I just didn't use it. So what I did was switch. Do you know what switch is?
Yeah.
Okay. And then view.getID. So here, it's taking a view. And then I get the ID of that view. And then if the case is like it's a Game of Thrones, like it's that ID. So where's that ID from, right? You might ask. The ID is here. I specifically set the ID of what this is to be here. So, and I specifically... So each of these image buttons, like here...
Unique IDs.
Exactly. They have unique IDs. But they all have the same on click. Right? If you click on this, if you click on this, if you click on that, it's the same method. Right? And it all calls this method. But how do we know which one they clicked on?
Yeah,
right?
ID.
So view.getID. If the ID of the thing that they clicked on, which is that view, is Game of Thrones video selector, and this is just like a name, arbitrary, not really arbitrary, but I try to specify so people know what I'm talking about if they read my code. Right. If it's the case that it's Durant, if it's Taylor, then basically what I did was so first of all, I did a toast, like GOT selected. I didn't have to do that.
Can I just ask one thing?
Yeah.
In the intent part, video loop activity dot class. So which class is that? That's the next page it goes to, right?
Video load. Oh, video. Yeah, exactly. So this is the next activity. Yeah, right. So when you define an intent, like this, this part is the next activity.
Where is playing the video?
Where is playing the video? So that's this. This is the Java code for that activity. But I'll just pull up the layout. So it's actually an empty screen, except you might see like this little box. So this thing appears when you click on the screen. Right, and then this is the video view, right? So when you click on the view, if I click on it, it should do something. I think it crashed or something.
Yeah, you changed some stuff, right? But it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, it's just lagging. I think it's this one. No, that's not the right one. Yeah, let me just make sure.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Just.
Let me just run it again just to make sure I didn't break anything.
You're not making changes in the original one, right?
Yeah, I don't think I am, but I just wanted to double check.
Okay.
Okay. Well, even if I did break it, I'll fix it. Okay, yeah, so that's the
video part.
Yeah, that's the video part. And let me just close a lot of these so that I can only... Yeah, you have any other questions? Like...
Yeah, so then can you go back to video selector?
Yeah, sure.
Class.
The class, okay. So, okay.
Yeah, the cases.
Right, and then
so
this...
that's a tool.
Yeah, this is kind of the important part. Like, how does the next screen know which one was selected. So I put, basically this is like intent carries values, right, that you can send to the next activity. This is the ID. So do you know what maps are?
No.
Okay, it's like a key value pair. So basically this is the key. It's like a dictionary. So for example, like you look in a dictionary and you find the word apple, and the definition of apple is like whatever, like what an apple is. So this is the key, this is the value. Like this is the word, this is the definition. So I put it in here. So this is the...
So name is with to play, and like, so you just like wrote it randomly, like in that. Like,
yeah.
So is this like an ID too, like, or like?
Yeah.
Where else is that?
Yeah, right. So in the vid loop activity, like when in the on create, I get the intent here, right? And this is getting like the intent that was sent to this activity. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but basically this intent now has that information from the previous screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, and we're doing like get string extra. I'm getting the vid to play.
Isn't it confusing to just call it intent? Like, what if you have multiple intents?
Yeah, so one activity can have multiple intents. Like you click on one screen and it goes to a different activity. Yeah, you can have... Yeah, you're saying this, I can specify it more?
Yeah, I'm just saying like, wait. I'm not saying just like for that class. Like say there's another class, and then what if you specify, like what if the intent in that class is called intent as well? Say like it's not, say loading activity has intent too, and then if you say intent equals get intent, like
how do I know?
I mean like it should be named differently, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay,
if I think I would specify more if it got confusing for people, but yeah.
Okay, so where to play the string?
Yeah, vid to plays a string, and then it gets the basically when I do this, it returns the values like this, or this, right? And so like I do another switch. So like if the vid to play, which is the URL, or which is the string here, and it's the case of GOT, then I set here the vid ID to the Game of Thrones video. Right, okay, so I have actually like in here I have some... Oh, it's not in drawable. You see like r.raw, it's in the raw.
Okay, is that for like videos?
Yeah, raw. I think it's not only for videos but for other things as well.
Okay.
But
like
I think videos, right, so I have the videos in this raw folder.
Okay.
And how I figure that out, I think I just looked up like video, I searched video view, how do you add a video in there? And that's how I figured it out.
What is get string extra? Like, what is that method? Like,
yeah, so you can understand like what methods there are to call after you press a period, and then right, it tells you like what you can do.
Yeah.
And oftentimes like I don't, like as I learn, I look it up, like what exactly. So there's a put extra, there's a get extra. I think I just tried it and it worked, you know. And then next time I'm like, oh, okay. And then reading documentation, like for example, developer.android, and then figuring out, like, I think just trying it. Yeah. Anyway, that's...
Okay.
Yeah. Anything.
So basically, I'll just like tell you what I understood is that you put an intent over there, and then by using intent dot uh, extra information, and then you come to this class and you get that information by using getStringExtra, and then you can choose which video to play based on the ID.
Yeah, I think what might be better, like if Android was actually good, is it was like intent.get, and then you can just put the ID or whatever. But if you actually just type get, and you can just see like, oh, what makes sense for what I put in there earlier, and then I just like, okay, because I know what a string is, so
oh, okay. So yeah, I think that just the extra part like was confusing. It was like getString.
Yeah, some of these names are really weird. You know, some of these names are really weird. So I just kind of like type it and then see what if I seen it before, like on the Stanford video, or if I look online for examples, like how did people do it? A lot of times I just kind of copy it and then like change how I think about the code and learn quickly. Yeah, that's how and then so I got the ID, and then I up here I get the video view, and then the video view I set the URI. Like actually some of the stuff I don't even understand completely. It's just if it worked, it worked. But I often like find it from online.
Yeah.
You know, like this stuff, like now that I'm looking at it, trying to explain it is really hard. Like this code was me trying to figure out how do I set the volume to like mute, and then that's how like I if it was intuitive it would be like, oh, set it to mute. But like go from where you understand it, like, oh, I know what a video view is. Now, can I use a video view? Like, how do I set that to be mute? You know, kind of like jump off from what you know already. Yeah, there's just a whole bunch.
Okay. And then like when you click on it, so that's like the next function, right?
Right, the next screen.
You'll click.
Yeah, so how did I get that to work?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, so let's go to the not this one. I'll close these two. So this is the screen of the video. So it's gray because it doesn't know what video to play. It doesn't just play here. So this is the preview. If you can't see it, it's in like the right side preview. Just yeah, right. So this this stuff down here is just to specify like the constraint. This is the ID, layout, wrap content. Margin bottom is just how far away it is. Okay, so background actually I use as a way to like stylize.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's called background, but for some reason when I do this,
yeah, no, it has to be background because like I tried to change color actually.
Right.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
This is so basically like I was trying to make boxes and make them round, and like one way of doing it is like actually just have like something like this in Drawable and then calling it and like putting like Android background and then setting the Drawable like even for the boxes which you made. Like I was just looking online and they said that's like the way to go.
Yeah.
Is that what you did for like the video loop activity too? Like how did you get the rounded corners?
Oh, yeah. Like choosing the videos. Oops. Like the rounded corners here.
Yeah.
You know what? When I try to do things, I like Google it, and then it tells me to do certain things. I copy it in, and then it's like totally not intuitive. Like, oh, do a rounded corner, so you put a background on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it doesn't make sense at all.
Exactly.
There's no feature.
Stack Overflow exists.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, so when I look at my code, actually trying to explain it to you guys is kind of confusing. Like I feel like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do, and if it works the way that other people say it works, I'll just copy it and paste it, right? And so like the background, that's how I got it to work. And like what you asked, how did I do it for the vid selector view? Okay, if I go to the vid selector, yeah, there's a background on it too. I think there is.
Yeah, no.
Where is it?
Huh?
Oh, you know what?
What?
I think I made these pictures in Sketch with the rounded corners.
Okay.
Okay. So actually, if I open it,
it's probably rounded.
It's probably rounded. Let me just. So it's the Game of Thrones drawable. So I don't know if I can open it here. Yeah, it's rounded.
Yeah.
So and then there's a transparent background. That's how I did it. So I did it here, but I think for buttons, like the buttons aren't an image, right? I can't like do it in Illustrator and make it rounded. So I think for the text for this button, actually I didn't even call it button. I did a text view, but like I said, like there's probably a million ways to do it. Like to get it to work, I kind of just did it to work. So text view, and then to get it to be rounded, I just put the background on there.
Yeah.
So it's not the best code, and you know I only spent like 3 days on it. Pomo, don't lie on my keyboard.
That's so funny. That your cat or Jen?
That's my cat.
I will totally lie on
If
your
she knows
keyboard.
karate, eh?
Hello.
Yeah. How much of this are you understanding, Tyson? There's probably a lot that.
Yeah, I need to go over the basic stuff.
Yeah, you know, I think that's why in classes there's like requirements like Java, all these different things. Stop distracting me, Jen. Yeah. So if you can like really get up to speed by like going through those videos, but even then I feel like because that Stanford class required background in Java. So now that I'm thinking about it,
yeah, I think our Android class also you had to take 143 at least.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking like I'm teaching you things that is just for this specific application, but like for you to be able to do it on your own, like there's just
more basic knowledge, right?
Yeah, more
It's like
fundamentals.
I do a review of Java. You also kind of need a review of like XML as well, which is really like XML is pretty simple, but if you aren't used to working with like an object and all of its different parameters, then even that's a little bit complicated. So
I think how I know how I am able to deal with this type of code is because I've done like HTML and like JavaScript, because this is like very similar to HTML.
Also,
but
I mean, if you've done HTML and CSS, I think XML is kind of intuitive.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's like the major problem. I think Java part is like a bit
harder.
Yeah.
And just understanding like method signatures, like method classes, and like what methods are, and then what these are, like parameters. Like Tyson, I feel like you never learned this, and it's not your fault, but have you did you learn that before? Because he learned about like operational shit, like I don't even know how to describe it. Like me also, I never, like my Android app was really shitty, and I pushed myself to do this overnight, but I feel like even like you trying to push yourself overnight, like how to be able to do what I did, I don't know how possible that is.
Yeah, I don't think that would be.
You can start going over the tutorial, and then like either me or Sean, we could like if we pick some feature that we want to work on, we could like work on it together, and then maybe you could see it more kind of like hands-on. Like we could do a little bit of pair programming. Like I'm fine doing that.
Maybe okay, but maybe I can just there's not enough time because Because I was thinking, like, if I can point resources to you guys, like, what are the good Java resources? What are the good Android? Like, Stanford's a good one for the Android one. But I don't know about the Java that you have to... Just the basics of Java, like 142, 142, or 143 for, like, CS or UW class, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick up, like, Java without...
Like,
there's, like, a lot of stuff online. Like, in Stack Overflow has, like, a bunch of stuff. So, like, you know, at some point, even if, like, if I get stuck, I always, like, look online, and there's, like, people can explain, like, what they're doing, and I can, like, make use of that.
Yeah, I don't think we should give up. You know, I feel like you should...
What? No one's giving up.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. Can you just finish the button part?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Which part?
When you click video click and then the button appears.
Okay, sounds good. Let me just find the right stuff. I created the image, right? I set an ID. I have an on click for that.
No, wait, not this.
Not that.
So in the video loop, the button which is there, which comes,
this one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, you're talking about text view. This is done, and then like probably like in the class, the Java part.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So there's a couple parts to this. First, I click on the video, and that button pops up, right?
Yeah.
That's the first part.
Yeah.
So there's this method I created called video clicked, and that is I'm just trying to find where I called that video clicked.
OnCreate like the main method? Like, do you need to like call all the methods in OnCreate?
So, OnCreate is like what runs when your activity loads up.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like this. So activities launched. This is a nice graph that kind of tells you what goes on. Like, so OnCreate is on start, on resume, and some of these things, like, it's not when you create a new activity, like I showed earlier.
Yeah.
It only shows like just the OnCreate, but there's all kinds of methods that are called in the background, and then for you to change the default like way that it's happening, you would like override that method. Right. That's what the override is. You first call the inherited one. So that you make sure that you're doing what it's supposed to do, and then you add your own code to specify, like, customize it in your own way. But yeah, so I found the method. So I actually didn't change it to linear layout on this one. I just left it. But here, if you look at onClick, I put an onClick on the entire layout. Right, so anywhere you click here,
correct.
Yeah, and that's where the onClick will be triggered. So when you click it, this method will run, and so some of these codes, like you can only do final if your DirecTV button is in another method. So the reason why, so for example, I press backspace on this, it's like, there's an error. Variable is assessed from within. It needs to be declared file. So I actually put my cursor on here and I press Alt Enter.
Yeah.
And then it tells you like what to do. You just press Enter again, and actually just in this line it just automatically made it final.
Yeah.
Right. So first of all, one thing I found out was this this button, actually I took like an hour or two just figuring out how to make this work. So one thing that I've learned is kind of like in Photoshop or Illustrator, the layers. There's kind of like a similar concept in Android, and I have to bring it to front in order to show. I was like, what? I'm clicking on it, but I don't see it fading in. Like, what's going on? And for the longest time, I couldn't figure it out, and I found out you have to bring it to front. And then I did this.
How do you do the fade effect?
Right. So I googled that, and this is what it turned up. And it's start animation.
Okay.
And then I created this anim, and actually like it's just in another folder. What I learned was like r.anything is like basically like how you're going into folders. So anim is like over here, and for example like r.id. Actually, id is not a folder, but like r.raw, right? R.raw is like a folder over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, start animation. Like this code, I do not know off the top of my head. None of this I know off the top of my head. I have to look it up. I was like, okay, this is the purpose I'm trying to incorporate into this app. Look it up. Right. So yeah, the fade in and r.nm fade in. So I defined it here. This is also a XML. Like I just did like from alpha. So alpha is like a keyword for like opacity. You guys,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's going from like 0 opacity to 1 opacity, and then in 1 second, and this is in milliseconds, right? And then to like associate that with this button, I have to do like start animation and then specify the anim here.
Okay.
And then I set the visibility. So originally, actually I don't think I needed to set. Oh, okay. So I set this to be visible because here in the text view, I set that to be invisible. So that when you're watching that video, that's just for purpose. Like this is the coding part of it, but like understanding what kind of interaction we want. So I just thought, okay, I'll set it invisible first, and then when you click on it, make it visible. But a lot of people in our usability studies, they were like, oh, that I don't know, I could click on it. So me telling you how to do this actually may not be like something that we actually do. But yeah, I set it to invisible first, and then I made it visible when the video is clicked. I start the animation, I made the visible, but probably I should like move this to the beginning, but I'm not going to do it now. I don't want to break anything. And then it fades out. This is another thing that I did was like, so this handler thing is like, how do I, after 1.5 seconds, trigger an event? That's kind of what I Googled. I was like, how do I, a time event or time handler? That's what I Googled. Time handler, time event, Android. That's what I put in the search bar. And then that's what came up here. So this is kind of a copied code, like handler. It runs, it's almost like in JavaScript. I don't know if you guys run a very similar thing. There's a very similar like timeout function in JavaScript.
Is it runnable to run like multiple threads together?
I don't know actually. I don't know.
Okay. So what does this part do? So
basically it's like after 1.5 seconds, this is in the milliseconds, it runs this code. Oops. And this code it fades out. So first it fades in, and then it fades out, and it sets it back to invisible.
Okay.
Right?
And why couldn't you do it without? Oh, okay. This is
it's fading out in 1.5 seconds. Right. That's what. So when we're looking at this type of code, just remember big picture. Like, don't get bogged down in the details. Like, okay, how do I make this thing work? And that's like fade in, fade out. That's why there's like a comment here. So once I faded in, I also set out like an on click for this button, so that once it fades in, people can click on it, and if people click on it, then it runs this new activity, right? This is the intent. And then it goes to content main activity.
See, like you called this intent too.
Yeah, and do you know about scoping in Java? Like,
yeah.
So it's inside this scope.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if it's the same as over here.
Yeah.
So if you're inside a function, then that's one scope.
So like global variables.
Like global variables is a non-global variable, it's a local variable. So you can have multiple intents because they're in different scopes.
Yeah.
Sean, have you gotten the WTF error yet?
The what?
The WTF error?
No.
That's when you like really fuck up your app. It stands for what a terrible failure. And gives you a WTF error.
Really?
Really great, yeah.
Huh, I have not get that.
I think I've only done it once in my Android development career.
That's so funny. I think at this point, I'm gonna take a break.
Yeah. Good tutorial, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got GitHub figured out as a side note.
JX GitLab.
Yeah, all that nonsense. It's 5 folks, but I don't know soon. Head to Seattle. Time, are you thinking of heading over there?
I need to get some stuff too. Let me make